this is Charis. I'm in my tree. Let's give you a view up above and down below. We've got the roots and the bowl and my flip-flops somewhere down there. It's funny, a minute ago I was recording one of the teaching videos for my intuitive development class, which starts tomorrow. I'm so excited. And you know, you can't really see up in this tree. It's like the ground is kind of far below, and so these little girls started climbing the tree, and I was in the middle of making the video, and they're like singing and stuff. It was awesome, because then afterward they said, "Oh my gosh, we didn't know you were there, we're sorry. I hope we didn't make too much noise." And I told them, no, it was awesome, and I bet that the people watching the video will like the sounds you were making. It's very fairy-ish. For those of you in the class, you'll know what I mean. Anyway, what I want to record this video on today is what happens to us when we try to force others' healing and others' progression forward. This is a hard thing for light workers, for starseeds, for empaths, whatever you want to call yourself. If your goal is to enhance other people and to assist the ones around you, this is a challenge. It's a challenge for me. It's a challenge for just about everyone I know. But the way that I understand it, because my guide straight up told me a while ago, after I was doing a little bit of this, found myself in this spot, and they gave me this advice, is this. All right, so you know someone, they're unhappy, or they're happy but they're unhealthy, you know, manic or just not balanced or whatever. You see them doing stuff, the same stuff over and over that makes them crazy. You really want to help. You keep telling them what they should be doing, but they're not listening, and in fact it might make it worse, and you end up exhausted and angry and frustrated, not understanding why they won't just listen to you and do the things that you can really feel and you know will help them. And you keep trying to tell them, and sometimes they might get mad at you, and sometimes they might lash out at you, or they just might ignore you or make fun of you, especially family members saying, "Oh, it's your crazy psychobabble again," or your spiritual gunk, or whatever it is. Okay, so that is something that we are all familiar with. And the message given to me by my guides a few months ago was this: you cannot help people who aren't asking for it. It's not your role. And if you do, you're actually working backwards, and here's why. First of all, before I go into that, if people are asking you for your help, then help. And I'm not talking about a codependent thing where someone's asking for your help and you're the only reason they're doing okay at all. That's a whole different thing, and maybe go watch the video on codependency on that. I'm talking about if someone says, "Could you give me some advice on this thing?" and then they're actually receptive, and you're not saying, "Hey, let me tell you what I think," and forcing it on them, even if it's an intuitive thing. This is really hard for us intuitives, because a lot of times, I know this is true for me, I just blurb stuff and don't realize that I just totally called someone out for something that's actually really private, and that has happened to me enough times to know that it is an easy thing to do. Okay, so the way it works is this. If you try to force someone else's healing, if you try to tell them what to do because you know better, which, to be honest and fair, you might know better. You might be able to see what they're doing better. I'm not saying that you can't, but what I am saying is that if they're not asking for your help, one, you're not trusting the universe to give them their proper teaching and path. If it were time for them to awaken right now, they would be organically, just the way that you did. And it's likely that if you're giving them information, it will get stored in there, and it will come back up when it's time for them to make their own decisions. And the really scary part about this is that if you're forcing and forcing and forcing spiritual growth on someone, even if it's something that feels good to you and it feels like they should be doing it, which of course it does, or else you wouldn't be trying to force it on them, or you're so happy doing this new thing that you want everyone to try it, the truth is that if they're resistant to what you're saying, which it's likely that they will be if it's not time for them yet, and don't judge the time is perfect. The universe is infinitely conscious and intelligent, and so they're having the lessons they need. They have a different path than you. We all have different paths than each other, and theirs might be harder than yours was. You never know. But don't judge it, because you really don't know what's going on inside of them. Or you probably don't even know all the details of the actual situation, because who can really, truly, completely see into another infinite divine being? Anyway, if you do that and they're feeling resistance, then unfortunately you're running a very large risk that when they do come upon these concepts for the first time, you know, other than you saying it to them, if they're carrying that resistant, residual, energetic pattern around the concept, kind of like scar tissue in the energy level, then it's likely that they're not even going to get it. the first time, that you will have actually backed up their progress, because rather than being open and receptive, they will remember that yucky feeling they got when you tried to force it on them, and they'll reject it for longer than they need to. So, what to do then? You want to help. You see someone suffering. You really want to help them, but they're not asking for your help. The first thing to do is, if you really feel called to tell them something, ask if it's okay. And the problem with lots of intuitives, and this is not something we're taught, and I'll only say a snippet on it right now, and I'll make a whole video on it another time, is that we're not taught what's polite and what's not polite. You can see it in someone's aura, you just say it and you know it. And granted, I mean, especially considering where some of us are coming from, before this incarnation, there were no secrets, and you could just see everybody's stuff like it was no biggie, you know, like you can see the color of someone's eyes, you can see that they have an issue with A, B, or C, or whatever. But that's not what's going on right now, and it's not polite to just call someone out like that. So if you can notice, then you notice, and it's kind of hard to just totally put your blinders up. It gets a little bit easier as you work your intuitive muscle over time, but what it's more like is, don't go diving in and researching intuitively this person unless they've given you permission to do so, and just say to yourself, you know what, it's not my problem. My thing is to work on my own energy field, my own understanding of the perfection of creation, because any flaws around you are reflecting flaws within you. As you clear out your own energetic field, the universe around you appears to be more balanced, because that is the vibration that you can access. So the thing that you do instead of giving advice is you work fully on your own presence. And think about the person who most inspires you. Think about an old teacher you had, or role model that you had, or one you have now, someone you look up to. It's probably not someone who's coming up to you and telling you all this stuff and just spouting all this stuff to you. It's probably someone who had a really incredible presence. Ooh, I like that. Presence, a pleasant presence. And a glow about them that you wanted to emulate and you wanted to be like. And whether or not they gave you suggestions, the suggestions aren't what changed you or what really made a big difference to you. It was their presence, their presence. I love that. Anyway, so the thing to do is remain centered and be your own best self. Try to access your own bliss, which is kind of between your solar plexus and heart. At least that's where it is for me. And if I can get really still and then go to that place, I can feel it bloom open like a flower. And I can really just feel bliss all over the place. So the best thing to do is teach through example, not through words. And what you will find as you get better at this is that people will ask you, what is it that you do? Can I have your advice about this? Do you see anything about this situation? Can I share something with you? And then it will be much easier. But the way that you know that you're not doing it quite tweaked correctly is that you'll be exhausted. They won't be helped. They might even be mad at you, and you'll just wonder why you do this at all. And you're doing it because you want to help, but maybe not in exactly the correct way. So try that. Try to, whenever you see something in someone else that drives you crazy, take a deep breath, come back to your own presence, access your bliss, turn on your presence. I'm sorry, that just cracks me up. And see what happens. Experiment with it. Give it a week. And don't give any advice. Don't try to force your opinion on anyone, not one person, unless they ask for it. And see what happens. I would love to know. I'll do it too. We'll try it out. It's harder than it sounds. It really is. Because we're taught to spout all over the place. That's what pretty much every form of media teaches us. So anyway, have a lovely Labor Day. Take your Labor Day to not do labor, unless it's internal levy, blissy awesomeness. I will be doing the intuitive development class. I'm very excited. And Shasta is almost full, and I'm opening up registration for a new retreat in Utah in November. It'll be the 9th to the 11th. It's Blissing Out with the Elves, and it's going to be a writing heavy workshop. So there will be more on that very soon. And the registration will be open in the next few days. So stay posted, or stay tuned. I always say that wrong. Anyway, have a great evening. Go in peace. I'll talk to you again soon.